The morning sky over the Sierra Nevada mountains was clear and blue when Major Alan Carter arrived for his shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Facility. He nodded to the security guard, grabbed his coffee from the break room, and settled into his chair in the control center. It was supposed to be an ordinary Tuesday. "Anything interesting, Sergeant Lewis?" Alan asked as he took his first sip. "Quiet night, sir. Just the usual satellite traffic and space junk." Alan nodded and began his routine system check. The massive array of radar dishes and radio telescopes under his command constantly scanned the skies, watching for anything unusual. For 8 years, he had done this job. For 8 years, nothing truly remarkable had happened. That changed at exactly 9:17 a.m. The alarm sounded first, a high-pitched wail that made everyone in the control room freeze. Then the monitors began to light up, one after another. "Major, I'm picking up multiple objects appearing near lunar orbit," called out Lieutenant Gary Wilson, his voice tight with tension. "THEY they just appeared, sir. No approach trajectory." Alan rushed to the main display. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hundreds of objects, massive in size, had somehow materialized at the edge of the moon's orbit. They were slowing down, arranging themselves in a formation. "Get me verification from the Lunar Observatory," he ordered, "and contact the Pentagon immediately." Within 30 minutes, every major space agency and military installation around the world had confirmed the sighting. These weren't natural objects. They moved with purpose, adjusting their course with precision that defied natural physics. By noon, the President of the United States, Susan Blackwell, had been escorted to the underground situation room at the White House. Alan's facility was patched in via secure video. "Major Carter, you were first to detect these objects. What's your assessment?" President Blackwell asked, her face grim on the monitor. "Madam President, these are artificial craft of unknown origin. They're decelerating in a controlled manner and appear to be headed for Earth orbit. We've attempted radio contact on all known frequencies with no response." The President nodded slowly. "And your professional opinion?" Alan took a deep breath. "This is a first contact scenario, Mom. But their approach, appearing suddenly, moving in formation, not responding to communication attempts, follows none of the peaceful contact protocols we would expect from a friendly civilization." The screens in the situation room suddenly flickered. For a moment, everyone thought it was a technical problem. And every screen in the room, and reportedly, every electronic display device around the world, showed the same image, a symbol that looked like a spiral galaxy with a line drawn through it. Dr. Elizabeth Wright was having breakfast with her husband when her phone rang. As NASA's lead xenolinguist, she had spent 15 years developing theoretical frameworks for alien communication. Within an hour, she was on a military helicopter headed for the Pentagon. "The symbol they're broadcasting," she explained to the hastily assembled first contact team, "appears to be ideographic rather than alphabetic. It likely represents their identity or authority." She directed the team to broadcast simple mathematical sequences, universal constants that any advanced civilization would recognize, along with basic greeting messages in multiple formats. Hours passed with no response from the vessels now clearly visible in the daytime sky as dark spots against the blue dot by evening. The alien fleet had positioned itself in geosynchronous orbit over major population centers worldwide. They were enormous, each ship nearly 2 miles long, according to radar estimates, with strange angular designs that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Panic spread through cities as people looked up and saw the dark shapes hovering silently overhead. Roads clogged with those trying to flee urban areas. Religious groups gathered in prayer. Some celebrated what they believed was humanity's introduction to the galactic community. Elizabeth Wright worked through the night, trying every conceivable approach to communication. They must understand that we're intelligent and peaceful, she insisted to her team. We need to find the right way to express it. But at dawn the next day, when the aliens finally responded, it wasn't to any of her carefully crafted messages. Every electronic device on Earth, phones, computers, televisions, radios, activated simultaneously. The message came through in perfect, unaccented English and every other human language. Your species has been deemed unworthy of continued autonomous development. Prepare for integration into the hegemony. Resistance is inadvisable. In the White House Situation Room, President Blackwell's face hardened as she heard the transmission. "Get me the Joint Chiefs now," she ordered, "and patch me through to the UN Security Council." Around the world, military forces went to highest alert. Fighter jets scrambled, missile defense systems activated, submarines slipped silently into strategic positions. Yet against the vastness of space and the advanced technology that had brought the alien fleet across the stars, Earth's defenses seemed pitiful, even to those commanding them docked at the Sierra Nevada facility. Alan Carter watched the radar as smaller vessels began to detach from the main fleet. "They're deploying, sir," Lieutenant Wilson reported. "Dropships, maybe, hundreds of them, descending toward major cities." Alan's phone rang. It was a direct call from the Pentagon. "Major Carter, this is General Hammond. We're activating contingency. Plan Omega. You know what that means." Alan swallowed hard. Plan Omega was the last resort protocol for an overwhelming alien invasion, something most officers had considered a theoretical exercise. "Yes, sir. God help us all." As he hung up, Alan looked around at his team. Good men and women who had trained to watch the stars, never truly believing they would witness this day. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice steady despite the churning in his stomach, "as of this moment, we are at war with an alien species. Our job is to track their movements and provide targeting data to whatever defense forces we can muster." Outside, the first explosions lit up the morning sky as Earth's fighter jets engaged the alien dropships. Humanity's first interstellar war had begun, and no one knew if there would be a tomorrow. Elizabeth Wright, watching the battle unfold from the Pentagon, whispered to herself words that would soon become humanity's rallying cry. They may have the technology, but they don't know who they're dealing with. This is our home. Captain John Martinez floated in the observation module of the International Space Station, watching Earth with a heavy heart. From his vantage point 250 miles above the planet, he could see the dark shapes of alien vessels hovering over cities. Occasional flashes of light marking where battles raged below. "Captain, General Hammond is on the secure line," called Lieutenant Samantha Cole, her voice echoing through the station's metal corridors. John pushed away from the window and propelled himself through the zero-gravity environment to the communication center. The face on the screen looked tired, with dark circles under bloodshot eyes. "Captain Martinez, I'll be brief. You're aware of the experimental railgun your station was equipped with last month?" "Yes, sir." "The Mark 7 orbital defense system. We were told it was for deflecting large space debris." The general's laugh was hollow. That was the cover story. "It's a weapon, son. Designed specifically for a scenario we hoped would never happen." John's throat went dry. "You want us to engage the alien fleet? From the ISS? You're the only weapon we have in orbit, Captain. The aliens have shot down every military satellite we've tried to activate. Your orders are to target their dropships. Buy us time to organize our ground defense." After the call ended, John gathered his crew, 6 Americans, 2 Russians, a Japanese engineer, and a Canadian medical officer. He explained their new mission, not hiding the likely outcome. "I won't order anyone to stay," he finished. The escape. Pod can take 4 of you back to Earth. Staff Sergeant Kevin Bell, the weapons specialist, stepped forward. With respect, sir, where would we go? Those things are everywhere. Might as well make our stand here. No one took the escape pod. They activated the railgun system hidden within what had been labeled as a new research module. The weapon used electromagnetic force to launch metal projectiles at incredible speeds. No explosives needed, just kinetic energy powerful, enough to punch through almost anything. Their first target was an alien, dropship approaching Rio de Janeiro. Kevin aimed, John gave the order to fire, and a titanium slug accelerated to 20 times the speed of sound left the station. On the monitors, they watched the dropship explode in a silent flash. Direct hit. Kevin shouted dot for 3 hours. They continued firing, taking down 2 more alien vessels before the inevitable happened. The main alien fleet turned its attention to the space station. John ordered his crew into pressure suits moments before. The first energy beam struck. The station shuddered. Alarms blared as sections depressurized. Keep firing. John ordered, strapping himself into the command chair as the station began to spin from the impact. Their 4th shot missed. Their 5th connected with an alien ship, but seemed to cause minimal damage. Their 6th never happened. The alien beam cut through the station like paper. John's last act was to transmit all their targeting data and weapon specifications to Earth. His final words were simple: remember us. The International Space Station became a brief, bright streak across the sky, visible to millions below. In the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, former Marine Sergeant Linda Foster watched the light of the destroyed space station through her binoculars. Around her, 27 men and women, a mix of military veterans, local police, and civilians who had fled the cities, waited for her orders. That was our people up there, she told them, lowering the binoculars. They bought us time. Let's make it count. Linda's group had an advantage many other resistance cells lacked. They had prepared. Years of government paranoia, as her friends had called it, meant she had a bunker stocked with supplies, weapons, and communication equipment. Hardened against electromagnetic pulses, they monitored the alien dropships moving across the sky, noting their patterns. One path took the alien craft low through a narrow mountain pass each dawn. "We can't bring down something that big with rifles," said Ben Howard, a former Army engineer. "No," Linda agreed, "but we can with that." She pointed to the mining explosives. They had salvaged from an abandoned quarry. They worked through the night, planting charges along the cliff faces on both sides of the pass. As dawn approached, they took positions with their rifles, though few believed they would do much good. The alien ship appeared right on schedule, its dark hull gleaming in the early light. Linda waited until it was deep in the pass, then pressed. The detonator. The explosion was deafening. Thousands of tons of rock crashed down onto the alien craft, crushing it against the valley floor. To everyone's shock, it worked. The ship's hull cracked open, sparking and smoking. "Move in," Linda ordered. "Secure that ship." What they found inside changed everything. The aliens, self-proclaimed collectors, were not what anyone expected. Standing just over 5 feet tall, they had spindly limbs and oversized heads with 4 small eyes. Their skin was pale gray and seemed almost translucent. Most surprising was how easily they died. 2 had been killed by the crash, and a 3rd succumbed to injuries while the humans watched. "They're physically weaker than us," Linda realized, examining their thin bone structure. "They rely entirely on their technology." They salvaged what they could from the ship before more aliens arrived to investigate. The materials they couldn't carry, they photographed with their phones. Most valuable was a device that appeared to be some kind of communication tool, and a small weapon that fired energy pulses 200 miles away. In the underground facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Peter Williams received Linda's findings through the emergency military network that was still partially functioning. "This changes everything," he told his team of scientists and engineers as they examined the photos and descriptions. "Their technology is advanced, but it's not magic. The principles are similar to systems we've been developing." He pointed to the recovered alien energy weapon. "This looks like a directed plasma discharge. We have prototypes that work on the same principle, just not as efficiently." For the first time since the invasion began a week earlier, a spark of hope flickered in the underground facility. Peter typed a message to be distributed to all resistance cells they could still contact. "The enemy can be killed. Their technology can be understood. They bleed just like us." In Washington, D.C., the White House lay in ruins after a direct hit from an alien weapon. In a bunker 50 feet beneath the Department of Agriculture building, Vice President William Harlow, now acting president, made the hardest decision of his life. "Authorize Project Lazarus," he told the remaining Joint Chiefs. "All of it." "Sir," General Hammond warned, "those systems were never fully tested. The side effects could be worse than extinction." Harlow cut him off. "We're past worrying about side effects, General. Deploy everything we have." As alien processing centers began appearing in occupied cities, humanity prepared to show the invaders that taking Earth would cost more than they could ever have imagined. 6 months had passed since the day the alien ships darkened Earth's skies. Winter settled over the northern hemisphere, bringing new challenges to both the invaders and the resistance. The collectors controlled most major cities, but their grip on rural areas remained weak. Their numbers were smaller than humans first feared. They relied on automated systems and their overwhelming technological advantage, rather than boots on the ground, got in the basement of what had once been Stanford University's physics building. Dr. Karen Rodriguez worked by the light of a generator-powered lamp. The campus around her lay in ruins, destroyed in the early days of the invasion when Silicon Valley was targeted for its technological resources. Karen had survived by hiding in the radiation-shielded underground laboratory where she had once conducted quantum computing experiments. Now she bent over a different kind of technology, pieces of alien communication equipment salvaged from a downed shuttle. For weeks, she had been studying the device, carefully connecting it to human computers, decoding its signals bit by bit. "I think I've got it," she whispered to herself, as patterns finally began to emerge on her screen. She typed rapidly, applying the decryption algorithm she had developed. The text that appeared made her gasp. Karen reached for the modified ham radio that connected her to the nearest resistance cell. "This is Redwood Base to Eagle Nest. Priority message for command. I've broken their comms encryption." 20 minutes later, her radio crackled with a response. "This is Eagle Nest. What have you found?" "They're not what they claim to be," Karen said, her voice shaking with excitement. "They're not representatives of some vast interstellar empire. They're corporate, like a company. They call themselves Resource Acquisition Division 6 in their internal communications. A hegemony they threatened us with doesn't exist. It's a lie they tell primitive worlds to prevent resistance." There was a long pause before the radio responded. "Are you certain?" "Completely. They're basically space poachers. They find developing worlds, harvest resources, including people, and move on. They're trying to process Earth as quickly as possible to meet some kind of quota." This information spread through resistance networks like wildfire, reigniting hope. The enemy wasn't an unstoppable galactic empire. They were just one company among many, with limited resources and superiors, who expected results. In orbit, the collectors had begun constructing massive processing stations. Human prisoners were transported there daily from collection centers. In occupied cities, no one who went up ever returned to Earth. Colonel Stephen Roberts watched the latest transport ship rise into the evening sky from his hidden observation post outside Chicago. Once the commander of a NATO Special Forces unit, he now led a mixed group of military survivors and civilian fighters. His weathered face showed the strain of 6 months of guerrilla warfare. "They're taking more people each week," noted his second in command, Sergeant Kathy Winters. "Whatever they're doing up there, they're accelerating." "Then we accelerate too," Stephen replied. "Is the team in position?" Kathy nodded, checking her tactical display. "They're in place." The alien commander visits the Chicago Processing Center every 3 days. Today's the day. The ambush went better than they dared hope. Using technology reverse-engineered from captured alien weapons, the resistance fighters disabled the commanders. Shuttle and security escort with a focused electromagnetic pulse. In the brief window before backup arrived, they extracted the alien leader and disappeared into the network of abandoned subway tunnels. Beneath the city, the commander, whose name translated roughly to Efficient Processor 37, proved surprisingly willing to talk once isolated from its communication systems. Whether motivated by fear or a pragmatic desire to survive, it revealed crucial information under interrogation. The fleet operates on a hub-and-spoke system, Stephen explained later to the assembled resistance leaders in their underground bunker. All ships receive commands from the main vessel, the one that hangs over the former United Nations building in New York. Disable that ship, and the entire invasion force will be temporarily paralyzed. "Temporarily won't be enough," said General Abbott, one of the few high-ranking military officers to escape the initial decapitation strikes against Earth's leadership. "It will if we use that time to strike all their ground bases simultaneously," Stephen countered. The alien commander confirmed what Dr. Rodriguez discovered. They're operating with limited resources. They expected Earth to surrender completely after their show of force. They didn't bring enough personnel for a prolonged occupation. The plan that emerged was audacious. Operation Thunderstrike. A coordinated global assault designed not to defeat the aliens outright. That was impossible with their orbital superiority, but to create a massive diversion for the real mission, delivering a modified nuclear device to the command ship. Aerospace. Engineer Olivia Bryant was selected to lead the critical space mission. A former NASA pilot who had been training for a Mars mission when the invasion began, she had the skills needed to fly the captured alien shuttle that would carry the strike. Team. It's likely a one-way trip, General Abbott warned as he briefed her team in a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. "With respect, sir, every day under these aliens is a death sentence anyway," Olivia replied. "At least this way, we choose how we go out." Her team consisted of 5 others: pilot Jack Newman, engineer Sam Patel, and Luis Garcia, and Special Forces operatives Daniel Kim and Frank Cooper. Each was chosen for specific skills and their volunteer status. All had lost family to the collector's dot as they prepared the captured shuttle, making modifications to mask its energy signature from alien detection systems, resistance groups worldwide. Readied for what might be humanity's last coordinated stand, dot in the remnants of the Pentagon, now a partially collapsed structure serving as one of many resistance headquarters. Acting President Harlow received the final confirmation that Project Lazarus was ready. The experimental weapon systems, ranging from advanced MP devices to prototype plasma cannons, had been distributed to key resistance cells around the globe. "We strike in 36 hours, he announced to his advisors. "Send the coded message to all cells. Thunderstrike is go." That night, as Olivia Bryant checked the nuclear device one final time, a compact tactical warhead, modified to create a focused electromagnetic pulse rather than maximum physical destruction, she found herself staring at a small photo of Earth taken from space before the invasion. "We're coming for you," she whispered to the alien fleet that now surrounded her beautiful blue planet. "You picked the wrong species to hunt. Across Earth, humanity prepared for a battle that would determine not just who controlled the planet, but whether human beings would remain masters of their own destiny. Dawn broke over a world preparing for its most desperate gamble. In hidden bases across all continents, resistance fighters checked weapons, said quiet prayers, and made peace with the likelihood that many would not see another sunrise. Operation Thunderstrike would commence at exactly 0700 Universal Time, coordinated through a patchwork of surviving communication. Networks dot in a hidden hangar carved into a mountainside in what had once been Yellowstone National Park. Olivia Bryant and her team made final preparations to their captured alien shuttle. They had painted over the strange symbols on its hull and replaced them with a single marking, a phoenix rising from flames. Systems check complete, Sam Vattel announced, his fingers dancing across the hybrid interface they had created to merge. Human controls with alien technology. Fuel cells at maximum capacity. Stealth modifications operational. Olivia nodded, her face grim with determination. Load the package. 2 resistance fighters wheeled in a lead-lined container. Inside was their secret weapon, a modified W-80 nuclear, warhead removed from a cruise missile and reconfigured to maximize electromagnetic pulse effects rather than blast damage. If detonated in the right location within the alien command ship, it would fry every electronic system without destroying the vessel completely. "Remember," Jack Newman said as he helped secure the weapon, "we need to place this near their central power distribution node. According to the intel from the captured commander, that's on the engineering level, 2 decks below the command center." Daniel, Kim, the most experienced of the Special Forces operatives, studied the crude map they had pieced together from various intelligence sources. "Once we dock, security response time is estimated at 4 minutes. We'll have to move fast." "Let's go over the plan one more time," Olivia said. Everyone gathered around the small table in what had once been the shuttle's cargo area. "We launch at 0630, 30 minutes before the global attack begins," she explained. "We'll use the captured codes to approach the command ship on a routine. Supply run trajectory. Once the ground assault begins, the aliens will be distracted, giving us our window to dock. We split into 2 teams. Jack, Louise, and I will secure the docking area and create a diversion. Daniel, Frank, and Sam will deliver the package to the target location. And then?" Luis Garcia asked quietly, though everyone knew the answer. "And then Earth has a fighting chance," Olivia replied, at the same moment. In bunkers and hideouts around the world, similar conversations were taking place. In the Siberian wilderness, Russian army survivors prepared their remaining tanks and artillery. In the Australian outback, a joint civilian-military force readied modified farming equipment turned into weapons platforms. From hidden submarine bases in the Atlantic and Pacific, naval commanders prepared to surface and launch what missiles remained in their arsenals. Acting President Harlow addressed the assembled leaders at the Pentagon Command Center for the last time before they dispersed to their battle stations. "Today, we face an enemy that came to our world expecting easy prey. They thought humans would bow down before superior technology. They thought we would surrender our planet, our resources, and our people without a true fight." He paused, looking at each face in turn. They were wrong. Around the world, the resistance checked timepieces counting down to 0700 UT, the moment humanity would rise up as one. Olivia's team launched their shuttle at precisely 0630 UT, rising through clouds into the cold upper atmosphere. The alien flight control system accepted their transmitted codes without question, just one supply vessel among many servicing the massive command ship. "Approaching orbital insertion," Jack reported from the pilot's seat. No sign, they suspect. Anything. Through the view screen, they could see Earth below them. Beautiful blue oceans, white cloud swirls, and the dark shapes of alien ships hovering over major population centers. The command ship grew larger as they approached a massive structure nearly 2 miles long, with a design like a giant arrowhead pointing down at the planet below dot at exactly 0700 UT. The world erupted. From the forests of Germany, electromagnetic pulse weapons designed under Project Lazarus detonated, disabling alien ground forces. In the mountains of Japan, modified microwave emitters targeted the cooling systems of landed alien craft, causing them to overheat and shut down. Across the plains of North America, remaining military units emerged from hiding to assault alien collection centers. It started, Sam said, monitoring communications. They're responding exactly as predicted, diverting forces from orbit to reinforce ground positions. The shuttle approached the vast docking bay of the command ship. Inside, alien crews scrambled to prepare reinforcement vessels for deployment to Earth. Docking permission granted, Jack announced, sounding surprised despite himself. They're actually letting us in. The shuttle slipped into the massive hangar and settled onto a landing pad. Through the viewports, they could see dozens of aliens, rushing to prepare other vessels, too busy to pay attention to one more supply ship. This is it, Olivia said, checking her weapon, a hybrid design combining an Earth assault rifle with power cells from alien blasters. Remember, we need to buy the package team 10 minutes to reach the target location. They opened the shuttle doors and moved out. For nearly a minute, none of the aliens even noticed them, a testament to how completely the ground assault had caught them off guard. Then an alarm sounded. We've been made, Daniel said calmly, raising his weapon. Time to make some noise. The firefight was brief but intense. Alien security forces converged on the shuttle bay, but found themselves outmatched by human soldiers fighting with the desperation of a species facing extinction. Olivia, Jack, and Luis created a defensive position behind cargo containers, drawing attention and fire. Meanwhile, Daniel led Frank and Sam through service corridors toward the engineering level, following the map extracted from the captured commander. They encountered minimal resistance until they reached a sealed door marked with alien symbols. This is it, Sam confirmed, consulting his translator device. Power distribution beyond this door. Frank planted breaching charges while Daniel stood. Guard. The explosion tore the door from its frame. Inside, alien engineers looked up in shock as the humans rushed in. 2 minutes to set the device, Sam called, removing the nuclear package from its backpack. Cover me. Back at the shuttle bay, the situation had deteriorated. Louise was down, wounded in the shoulder. Jack and Olivia were running low on ammunition, and more alien security forces arrived with each passing minute. We need to fall back to the shuttle. Jack shouted over the din of weapons fire. Olivia checked her watch. Not yet. They need more time. A massive explosion rocked the ship, not their nuclear device, but a hit from outside. Through the hangar. Force field. They could see Earth's resistance had managed to get several missiles through the alien defenses dot in the power distribution room. Sam finished arming the nuclear device. It's done. 90 seconds to detonation. Let's move, Daniel ordered. The 3 men began their desperate run back toward the shuttle bay. They never made it. Alien reinforcements cut off their escape route. Frank turned to his companions. Go. Find another way. I'll hold them here. Before they could argue, he charged the alien position, firing wildly. The distraction allowed Daniel and Sam to slip down a side corridor dot in the shuttle bay. Olivia received Sam's transmission. Package delivered. Detonation in 60 seconds. We're cut off from the bay. Get to an escape pod if you can. She replied. We'll wait as long as possible. The seconds ticked down. Jack dragged the wounded Louise into the shuttle. Olivia provided covering fire from the ramp. At 30 seconds, she made the hardest decision of her life. "We have to go now," she told Jack as she backed into the shuttle. "Get us out of here." The shuttle launched from the bay just as the countdown reached 0. Behind them, the nuclear device detonated deep within the alien command ship. Instead of a massive explosion, it released a precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse that surged through the vessel's systems. All across Earth's orbit, alien ships suddenly went dark. There, lights flickering out as the command signal was lost. The invasion force, designed to operate as a single coordinated entity, found itself suddenly leaderless and adrift. On the surface below, humans looked up to see their oppressors faltering for the first time. A cheer rose from resistance fighters worldwide as the balance of the battle shifted in a way no one had dared to hope. The years following what became known as Liberation Day were not easy for Earth. The scars of the invasion ran deep, both on the land and among the survivors. Over 30% of the human population had perished during the 7-month occupation. Major cities lay in ruins, their skylines forever altered. Farmland had been poisoned by alien weapons, oceans contaminated by crashed ships, and forests burned to deny cover to resistance fighters. But humanity had gained something precious beyond measure. They had survived, and they had acquired alien technology. 2 years after Liberation Day, a new skyline began to take shape above. Earth, not the dark, threatening hulls of collector vessels, but orbital construction platforms built from salvaged alien ships. With the invaders' fleet disabled by the destruction of their command ship, Earth's military forces had boarded and captured dozens of alien vessels. In what had once been the Brazilian rainforest, a massive complex of laboratories and manufacturing facilities spread across the reclaimed land. Dr. Karen Rodriguez, now leading Earth's Alien Technology Integration Division, stood at a window overlooking the testing grounds where engineers worked on a captured alien shuttle. "We've fully decoded their propulsion systems," she explained to Acting President Harlow, who had come to inspect their progress. "The principles aren't that different from theories our physicists had already developed. We were maybe 50 years away from discovering this ourselves." Harlow nodded, his face showing the strain of leading Earth's recovery. "And the weapon systems? More challenging, but we're making progress. Their energy weapons operate on principles similar to our plasma research. The bigger breakthrough is their FTL communication system. We can now send messages at faster than light speeds." "Can we build ships of our own?" Harlow asked. It was the question that had driven Earth's recovery efforts. Not just understanding alien technology, but replicating it. Karen smiled for the first time. "Come with me." She led him to a massive hangar, its doors slowly opening to reveal a sleek vessel unlike anything humans had built before. It combined the angular efficiency of alien design with distinctly human aesthetics. "I present the EDS Defiance," Karen said with pride. "Earth defense ship, first of her class. She's smaller than the collector vessels, but she incorporates everything we've learned. Her hull is made from Earth metals, her systems built by human hands." Harlow approached the ship with something like reverence. "When will she be ready to fly?" 3 months. "We're training crews now. Many are former Air Force pilots, some are astronauts, and others are resistance fighters who learned to operate alien craft during the war." At the United Nations headquarters, now relocated to Geneva after New York's destruction, Admiral Richard Clark addressed the newly formed Earth Defense Council. Representatives from all surviving nations had gathered to hear the latest intelligence. 2 days ago, our deep space monitoring stations decoded a partial alien transmission, Clark announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "It appears the collectors had been sending regular updates to their corporate headquarters somewhere in the galaxy." The room grew silent as the implication sank in. Their final transmission was cut off mid-sentence during Operation Thunderstrike. Clark continued. We now know 3 critical facts. First, there are many intelligent species in our galaxy. Second, some of them see less advanced races as resources to be exploited. And third, the collector's superiors don't know exactly what happened here. They only know that a supposedly helpless primitive world somehow destroyed an entire harvesting fleet. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. Our best estimate, Clark said, is that we have perhaps 10 years before they send another fleet to investigate. At this time, we'll be ready. In orbital shipyards built from repurposed alien facilities, Earth's first true warships took shape. They bore names that honored the fallen: ISS Martinez, Blackwell's Defiance, and the flagship Humanity's Answer. Olivia Bryant, one of the few survivors of the mission to the command ship, now held the rank of captain. She would command Humanity's Answer when it launched. She stood in the observation deck of the orbital construction platform, watching as workers in spacesuits added the final sections to our vessel's hull. "Never thought I'd see humans building spaceships," said a voice behind her. She turned to see Jack Newman, her former pilot now serving as her second in command. "Never thought we'd need to," she replied. "How are the weapon tests going?" "Better than expected. The railguns have twice the range of the collector equivalents. Our engineers made improvements to their designs." Olivia nodded with satisfaction. Humanity hadn't just copied alien technology. They had understood it, adapted it, and in many cases improved upon it. Earth ships would be smaller than the massive collector vessels, but faster, more maneuverable, and crewed by people who had already proven they would fight to the death for their world. 5 years after Liberation Day, a ceremony was held in the crater that had once been Paris. A monument of black stone rose from the center, a simple obelisk with names etched and spiraling, lines from base to peak. Millions of names, representing those who had fallen in humanity's darkest hour. At the base, a simple inscription read, "They came to harvest a primitive world. They found humanity instead." President Harlow, officially elected to the office, had held through the crisis, addressed the gathered crowd and the billions watching on screens around the world. "We mourn our dead, but we also celebrate our survival," he said. "The invasion changed us. Nations that once pointed weapons at each other now work together. Resources once spent on fighting ourselves are now dedicated to our common defense and to reaching the stars." He gestured to the sky, where the first of Earth's defense fleet could be seen as bright points of light against the blue. "We are no longer alone in the universe, and we know now that not all who dwell among the stars come in peace. But we will be ready for them." In deep space, at the edge of Earth's solar system, automated defense platforms scanned the void, alert for any sign of approaching ships. Earth had learned its lesson well. There would be no more unannounced visitors. 10 years after Liberation Day, the sensors on Defense Platform Alpha detected a disturbance in space, a telltale signature of ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The alert went out immediately, and Earth's now substantial fleet moved into defensive positions. The approaching vessels were different from the collector ships, sleeker, more organic in their design. They moved cautiously, as if uncertain what they might find. From the bridge of Humanity's Answer, Captain Olivia Bryant gave the order that had been prepared for this moment. A message broadcast on all frequencies in multiple formats, including the communication protocols extracted from collector technology, unannounced entry into Earth's orbit, the last fleet to try that never returned home, state your business or be destroyed. The universe would soon learn that humans were not easy. Pray, they were survivors. And they were just getting started.